So today we'll be making the M3 Lee. I was really excited to make the M3 Lee, and it's because the M3 Lee is one of my most favorite tanks. Although it wasn't the best tank, look how cool it looks. I mean, look at it, it has 3 turrets. Although the M3 Lee looks like a great tank, it had many drawbacks such as how tall it was. This tank was requested by Burst Tomcat 71 and Nano 99. So thank you for requesting the tank. In this tank, the bottom gun can move and the top turret can move 360 degrees. Anyways, without any further ado, let's get into the tutorial. First off, here's a reference image. This time I printed out a reference image because my laptop was out of battery. So, you know, just waste some paper. The good thing about the M3 Lee is that it has these really visible geometric shapes. So there's not many curves. The first thing I did was I cut out this back piece. Then I cut out the rest of the pieces on the front. And now it was time to make the gun. I'm making the gun so fast because I wanted to finish the main body of the tank before I moved on. But in order to make sense of how big the tank is gonna be, I glued on the tank onto this flat piece of cardboard and I cut it out. Now I can tell how big I want the gun to be. Now you want to cut out this circle and glue it onto the corner. This will be where the gun is. And after I glued on the circle, I glued on the back piece. And now it was time to make the gun mechanism. I wanted the M3 Lee's gun to be able to be moved. So I've used this mechanism that I've used in other videos. What I do is that I get this part of a mechanical pencil and I cut it to the shape of the tank. The length of the pipe should be to the top and bottom of the tank. Then you glue it on. One important thing is that you want the pipe to be centered as much as you can. If the gun isn't centered, it might not be able to move properly. Now it's time to make the actual mechanism. For this I got a bunch of scrap paper such as homework, and I rolled it into a cylinder the width of the pipe. This is so I can stick the pipe through the cylinder and it will be able to move on its own, like a wheel on an axis. So I just wrapped this paper around this other piece of pipe I have. and if you need to, you can trim it. When you're done wrapping paper around it, you can stick it into the tank. I stick it into the cylinder and then I glue the whole entire tank onto another piece of cardboard. Make sure you glue the bottom of the blue cylinder onto the bottom of the tank. As you can see right here, the turn mechanism should be able to move like this. But along the way it broke and then I accidentally superglued it together, so I had to make another turn mechanism. And thankfully the other one worked out a lot better and it was a lot smoother. My advice is just to make the gun out of just paper, because as you can see here, I wrapped some cardboard instead of paper around it to speed up the wrapping process. But since the cardboard isn't as smooth as the paper, it kinda like got stuck. So yeah. Now I started making the bottom of the tank. The front of the bottom is this curved piece. So I glued on this curved piece on the front. And I also glued on these circle pieces around it because that's how the original tank looks, and it also provides support. After that, you just want to finish the bottom by gluing on this flat piece and an angled piece. And right here, as you can see, the turret actually switched from brown cardboard to paper. So I fixed it, yeah! Now I added the gun. I first glued on this curved piece of cardboard, and then I glued on this mechanical pencil as the gun. And now it should be able to move. I also glued on these bottom pieces to cover up the gaps. And now you're done with the frontal gun. And after all that, I start working on the back. But first I prepared the tank for the turret. I do this by cutting open a dime-sized hole onto the top. And now I make the back by gluing on this back piece. And before you glue on the other back piece, it's time to make the turret. The turret is made by cutting open this oval, and then building around it. I glue on some curved pieces and fill in the gaps with hot glue. You can just copy the shape from the reference image. After that, I ended up with this. Then I glued on the gun for the turret. At first I was gonna use a cocktail stick, but then I realized the cocktail stick was the same thickness as the bottom gun. So I used this weird thick pencil lead that I found. It was a perfect thickness. I also used a toothpick as this little machine gun on the bottom. Now to make the turn mechanism. The mechanism is made by getting this circle that I cut out before, and I glue it to the bottom of the turret. This circle should be the same circle that you cut out for the turret hole. I stuck the turret through the hole, and then I glued on a bigger piece of cardboard underneath, and that should complete the turret mechanism. And I'm sorry if I don't show the turret mechanisms and stuff. At this time I broke my 32GB SD card, and I had to use the 2GB SD card, which basically means I had to record for 5 minutes and load it back into the computer and then keep recording. So I didn't have that much time, or memory, but later that problem got fixed. Now I start making the back of the tank, which is like a hexagonal shape. And now I made the final top turret. I don't know if the top turret could move 360 degrees or not, and I didn't find any images with the top turret not facing forward, so I just put it as a static, non-moving object. And also, it would be too hard to actually make a turret mechanism for a turret that small. I don't think anyone actually cares if that turret moves or not. So I just made the top turret with this curved piece of cardboard. The top turret's gun is either a paperclip or a toothpick. Now I start adding details. These are just random scraps of cardboard that I glue on to make the tank look less flat, and doing this recycles cardboard or other pieces of trash. When you're all done making the details, I glue on the side pieces for the bottom. And now I start making the wheels. The wheels are just some foam board that I cut out. And the wheels are really similar to the M4 Sherman, mainly because the bottom is practically the same. I also had these top track coverings, which should fit snugly on the underside of the tank. Then I made the tracks, which are just some peeled cardboard. And after all that, it's finally time to paint the tank. The tracks are painted black and the tank is painted this olive greenish color. When the tank is done painted, you can glue on the tracks. And when everything's dry, I paint on this American star as one final detail. And now you're basically done. So thank you all for requesting the M3 Lee. As I said, I've been wanting to make this tutorial, but I haven't gotten any requests. But after I did, I was really happy. And I'm also really surprised that my How to Get Amazing Army Men video did so good. Very interesting. So anyways, thank you all for watching.